The Killer Who Signed His Name in Code. A true crime story, The Zodiac Killer, approximate 6-minute read. Late on the night of December 20th, 1968, a teenage couple parked along a quiet stretch of Lake Herman Road outside Benicia, California. David Faraday was 17. Betty Lou Jensen was 16. It was their first date. Someone approached the car in the dark. Betty Lou stepped out, maybe trying to run. She was shot 5 times in the back. David was shot once at close range and died within minutes. There was no robbery, no clear motive, no warning. Just 2 teenagers gone on a road where nothing like this had ever happened before. It would be the first of at least 5 confirmed murders committed over the next 10 months by a killer who would soon give himself a name, and who would spend the rest of his life taunting the police who couldn't catch him. 6 months later, in July 1969, a similar attack happened miles away at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. A man approached a parked car and opened fire on the couple inside. Darlene Ferrin died. Her companion, Michael Mageau, survived despite his wounds. That same night, someone called the Vallejo Police Department, calmly reported the shooting himself, and then hung up. He wasn't confessing out of guilt. He was announcing himself. A month later, letters began arriving at 3 different Bay Area newspapers: the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. Each contained a third of a coded cipher, 408 symbols long, and a claim of responsibility for the killings. The writer demanded the ciphers be published on the front page, or he'd go on a killing spree. The papers complied. Remarkably, within days, a schoolteacher and his wife in Salinas cracked the code by hand. Buried in the decrypted message was a chilling line. The killer said hunting humans was more thrilling than hunting animals, because man was the most dangerous game of all. He signed the letter with a circle crossed by lines and a crosshair symbol, and began calling himself Zodiac. In September 1969, he struck again at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, this time in broad daylight. Wearing a black hood with the same crosshair symbol on the chest, he approached 2 college students having a picnic, tied them up at gunpoint, and stabbed them repeatedly. Cecilia Shepard died of her injuries. Brian Hartnell survived 8 stab wounds and would later help investigators build a description of the killer. Then, weeks later, he changed his method entirely. In October 1969, a San Francisco cab driver named Paul Stine picked up a fare in the city. The passenger directed him to a residential intersection, then shot him once in the head. The killer tore a blood-stained piece of Stine's shirt as a trophy and vanished on foot into the night, walking calmly past a police patrol car that had been alerted to the area because the initial radio description of the suspect had been garbled by a dispatcher. It was, as far as investigators could ever confirm, his last murder, but it was nowhere near the end of the case. Over the next 5 years, the Zodiac sent more than 3 dozen letters and postcards to newspapers and police, taunting them, sending pieces of Stine's shirt as proof, and claiming falsely, most investigators believe, responsibility for as many as 37 murders. He sent another, still unsolved cipher in 1969 that wouldn't be cracked by codebreakers until 2020, more than 50 years later. Even decoded, it revealed no name. Thousands of suspects have been proposed over the decades, reportedly more than 2,500 names investigated by police alone. One man, Arthur Lee Allen, became the prime suspect for years and was the central figure in David Fincher's 2007 film about the case. He was investigated extensively, but DNA evidence recovered decades later from one of the letters didn't match him, and he died in 1992 without ever being charged. Other names have surfaced and faded the same way, compelling on the surface, unproven under scrutiny. Handwriting experts, forensic document examiners, and amateur codebreakers have spent literal decades on this case, and disagreements between them persist to this day. The Zodiac letters stopped arriving in 1974. The killer, whoever he was, simply went silent and was never identified, never arrested, never definitively linked by DNA or fingerprint to a single name. More than 55 years later, the case remains open. Decipher his files. The fingerprint on the envelope. The bloodstained shirt fragment. All of it still sits in evidence, waiting for a name that may never come. End.